Welcome back to the Great Canadian Blueprint. My name is Ian, and I'm your guide to Canada's economic and real estate past. Today, we're diving into how technology transformed farming in the late 1800s, using machines like reapers and threshers as prime examples. These innovations didn't just make farming easier, they supercharged Canada's wheat boom, boosted land values, and reshaped towns like Regina and Saskatoon. As a RE/MAX real estate agent from Hamilton, Ontario, I'm unpacking the economic, social, and real estate shifts that shaped our country, all the way from the 1800s up until now. Back in the 1880s, farming wheat on prairies was tough. You would need dozens of workers to cut crops and thresh grain, spending weeks on a single harvest. It was slow, expensive, and backbreaking. Enter reapers and threshers, game changers that made farming faster and bigger. A reaper, like the McCormick model from the 1830s, cut the bundled wheat, handling 10 to 15 acres a day with just a couple of workers. Compare that to 1 or 2 acres that could be done by hand, 75% less time. Threshers took those bundles and separated grain from stalks, processing 1 to 200 bushels a day compared to 10 to 20 by hand, a 10x speed boost. These machines let farmers tackle huge fields, turning the prairies into global breadbaskets. Now, of course, these machines weren't cheap, but the savings were massive. Imagine a 100-acre farm. Hand harvesting might need 50 workers for days to harvest a field. A reaper did it with 2 workers, with the only additional cost being a bit of machine maintenance every year. Threshing 100 bushels by hand could cost upwards of $50 in wages. A thresher, on the other hand, did it for $5 in labor plus maybe $50 yearly for the machine. That's hundreds saved per season, not only increasing profits, but allowing farmers to scale up production, giving farmers the chance to scale up to 500 acres and more. But here's the rub. These machines scared workers, as you can imagine. If a reaper could do the work of 50 men, what happened to those jobs? Farm laborers, often immigrants or locals earning $1 a day, worried they'd be out of work. It's a fear we still see today. Think AI, robots, and automation taking over. Back then, a farmer might hire 100 workers for harvest. With machines, that dropped to 10. In Saskatchewan, where farmers grew from 100 to 500 acres, the labor force shrank and some folks were left scrambling. It wasn't just about losing jobs. Rural communities worried about losing people altogether. Here's where it gets interesting though. Those fears didn't tell the whole story. Machines didn't just cut jobs, they created new ones. Factories like McCormick's in Chicago, with Canadian branches by the 1880s, churned out reapers and threshers, employing hundreds to build and ship them. In Regina, the Massey-Harris plant opened in 1891, made farm equipment, hiring 200 workers by 1900. Mechanics were needed to fix machines, offering higher wages for skilled hands. The wheat boom, fueled by those tools, demanded railways, grain elevators, and flour mills. By 1914, Saskatchewan had 3,200 elevators, and the Canadian Pacific Railway connected farmers to ports. That meant jobs for rail workers, elevator operators, and mill hands. Places like Winnipeg's grain exchange needed clerks and brokers. Farmers even shared threshers, moving them from farm to farm, creating cooperative jobs. So, while others lost out, others found opportunity. Reapers and threshers were pivotal in scaling up Canada's agriculture. They let farmers manage vast prairie fields with fewer hands, boosting yields and land values. This drove real estate booms in towns, but it also sparked fear of loss of jobs. Yep, new industries like machine manufacturing, railways, and elevators created opportunities, showing technology's double-edged sword. This story is bigger than wheat, of course. It's about fear of change and promise of progress. Workers worried about jobs, just like folks today stress over AI. But history shows technology creates new paths. Here's my question. If you were a 1900s farmer, do you think you would bet on a machine like reapers or stick with hand labor? It might be a little easier to answer that in hindsight, but if you really look into the past and the trends and the sentiment of technology, do you really think you would change your ways? Thanks for watching, and join me on the next video as I dive into farming cooperatives and grain monopolies. Catch you on the next one.